Green gold, the nickname for a plant that at one time made Yucatán one of the wealthiest states in the world. Production boomed, money flowed, and haciendas were the center of it all. Today, I meet preservationist Daniel Chillén at Hacienda Tamchén. Once abandoned, but is now a luxury resort.
You can see paints, all of that original.
Chef Julio Ku Dominguez puts this beautifully preserved kitchen to good use. Using locally sourced ingredients, he teaches me huevos abotonados, or buttoned eggs, in the traditional way, buried in ash. I've never seen this before. And my obsession with eggs continues in the town of Motul, where I meet Doña Evelia, the queen of her own egg empire. She holds the award-winning recipe to Motul's most famous dish, Huevos Motuleños. The secret? You'll have to wait and see. Don't worry, I'll teach you how to make them too. Along with a Chef Julio-inspired chaya egg scramble. It's just packed with flavor. Super sweet.
Échale nada más encimita, ándale.
¡Sonó rico! So breathtaking. Yucatán was once the center of the Henneken universe, an agave plant that was so popular for making ropes, bags, and so much more that it made Yucatán one of the wealthiest states in the world. It was even dubbed green gold. In the early 1900s, almost 70% of all cultivated land in Yucatán was dedicated to the production of Henneken, and it took place at haciendas like this one. These large plantations established by colonial Spain to process the Henneken have now been restored by companies like private haciendas and converted into stunning hotels and event spaces, like Hacienda Tamchén. Hola, Daniel.
Hi, Pati.
¿Cómo
Morning.
estás? It's so breathtaking. Daniel Chillén is the general manager.
Actually, Tamchén is part of the first group of haciendas in Yucatán. So we are talking about 1600s. This part is the building then when they process and they fabric the cords of the Henneken. And 90% of the ships of the world use that cords.
Oh, wow. But the economic boom came at a human cost. Hacienda owners relied on hundreds of enslaved Mayans and indentured foreign workers. So in the hacienda system, it was like a little town
Yes.
dominated by the
Yes.
owner of the hacienda. So here they were under servitude. They had no
Totally.
freedom.
No, not.
An eventual Maya uprising led to a 50-year war known as the Caste War. Ending in 1901, it eventually freed enslaved workers and sparked land reforms.
All the people that used to work here, they reclaim a part of that lands.
The invention and rise of nylon eventually brought down the Henneken industry, along with haciendas. This was abandoned?
Yes, like 25 years. Yeah, we took over these haciendas, we found it, and we restored it. So we are going to see the old chapel, and this one, the private area from the priest.
Wow.
You can see the first lines of the electricity.
Oh.
You can see the paints, all of that original.
And under, you now have the kitchen.
Yeah, the beautiful kitchen.
The gorgeous kitchen. Hola, Julio.
Well, Pati, Julio is dying to cook with you.
I'm dying to meet Julio. And that kitchen is so heavenly. Julio Ku Dominguez is the head chef at Hacienda Tamchén. Raised by his grandmother, he developed his passion for cooking while helping in her tortilleria. Him and his sous chef Tere Canté have a special treat for me today.
Julio,
Hola.
te traje a Pati.
Hola.
¿Qué tal?
Estar contigo.
Hola.
Hola,
Julio.
Julio. Te
¿Cómo
estoy
estás?
viendo desde
Gracias.
arriba.
Qué bueno por
Hola.
visitarnos.
¿Qué tal? Tere, mucho gusto. ¿Ya
No.
vi que tienen ahí huevos?
Los huevos abotonados.
Te digo que I'm obsessed with eggs. Tengo una obsesión con los huevos. Todos los días como huevos. And this region of Yucatán is obsessed too. Que aquí en Yucatán les fascinan los huevos y los hacen de muchas diferentes maneras, ¿no? Y los que vamos a hacer ahorita, platícame cómo se llaman.
Se llaman huevos abotonados de la abuela.
Ok.
Son trabajados con ceniza caliente.
Esa es la ceniza que sale, este polvito sale de la leña.
I've never seen this before. Instead of your soft-boiled egg, you have eggs cooked in ashes. This is fascinating. The ash gives them a special flavor, like firewood. And it's not complete without handmade tortillas to soak up that runny yolk. ¡Ah, mira, mira, mira! ¡Ay, qué bonito pop! Tere, eres una maestra. Here it goes. En Yucatán no usan la prensa de tortilla.
La prensa de tortilla es todo a mano.
Es
todo
todo
lo
a
que
mano.
es-
Enséñame tu técnica, Tere.
Lo que le vamos a hacer es un timbalito.
Ah, they're making a masa holder for the cooked egg.
Lo vamos a tatemar tantito.
¿Pica mucho?
Bastantito.
A mí sí me gusta que pique.
Ok. Sí. Y vamos a buscar este huevito.
This egg is so special. It gets its own throne.
Y estos son los huevos abotonados.
¡Ay, qué bonito! Now for the final step. A simple salsita with complex taste. Made with salt, bitter orange unique to Yucatán. Le salió muchísimo jugo. And locally harvested chile de árbol.
Se escucha.
¡Ay,
bien.
sonó rico!
Se agarra el huevito.
Ajá. ¡Uy, qué belleza! Así me gusta la yema.
Término y todo lo que es la yemita suave.
Ya.
¿Qué tal?
¡Qué belleza!
Agarramos dos tortillas,
Ok.
la mezclamos.
Uy, mucho amor. ¡Qué delicia! O sea, this is like an ode to the egg. This gives like a soft-boiled egg a run for its money. Está delicioso.
Provecho.
I think all the eggs of the Yucatán are calling to me to crack a yolk in my own kitchen. I am obsessed with eggs. I eat them every day and I typically will eat them with one salsita or another. I want to show you how to make a salsita that me and my team were obsessed with as we were traveling the Yucatán. And it is an habanero table salsa. And it is so simple. So we start with 6 to 8 habaneros. And the spiciness level is always capricious with chiles. But we do know that habaneros are at least 100 times spicier than jalapenos. You can add 2 to 3 garlic cloves. You want them unpeeled. Now, this is what a bitter orange looks like. Very different. The flavor from the bitter orange is just very sour. Okay, so I'm just squeezing it in here. I want about a half a cup. Okay, so the juice is ready and my habaneros and my garlic are ready. Super charred by now. It smells fruity and citrusy and so super spicy in here. Okay, so now all you do is remove the stems from the habaneros. And then you remove the skin of the garlic cloves. You can see how soft the garlic gets. Then I'm just gonna give it a rough chop before I throw these into my molcajete. I know this salsa has 6 to 8 habaneros and you would think this is gonna be insanely hot, but somehow it is not. So I'm adding a teaspoon of salt, and then I'm just gonna grind away. Now, if you don't have a molcajete at home, get one, because their oils and their fragrance and their flavor really combine in a different way. And then I'm gonna start adding some juice. If you don't find fresh bitter orange, you can just use equal parts of orange, lemon, lime, and white vinegar, and you'll get something similar. So I have the salsa here. It's gonna be ready for me when I make my taquitos with my egg scramble. This is a very, very simple egg scramble that I also tried in the Yucatan, which is so delicious and so easy. So I'm gonna use red onion, which is really king in the Yucatan. And I'm just gonna sliver. I'm gonna cut into a plumita. I'm gonna turn on my pan over medium heat. And then I'm gonna add some oil, 1 or 2 tablespoons. This egg scramble is gonna have chaya. This is so prevalent in the Yucatan. It is so delicious. It is really hard to find in the US. If you can't find it, try to grow it, like me. I'm now growing it in my interior garden. But you can use Swiss chard or spinach or watercress, or a combination of the 3. Okay, my oil is ready for the onion. Let me add it so that it will start wilting. And then I'm just gonna cut my chaya leaves. Because I don't wanna use all my chaya leaves, I'm gonna cut some spinach. At least a cup per person. Adding it in here. So I'm also adding some mint. Like 10 to 15 leaves. And I add a tiny bit of salt, pepper. Let that cook. You just want it to completely wilt. Now I have 6 eggs. I am just so fascinated with eggs. 1,000 things you can do with them. Okay, before I add the eggs, I'm gonna start heating my tortillas. My comal is already preheated. And before I add my eggs, I make sure that I turn the heat down to low, because I like to cook them with a lot of love. Super gentle and soft. Adding salt and pepper. And this is just how I like my eggs. Like still a little moist, not super dry. So this is perfect for me. My tortilla is ready. And now we're gonna build the taco. If you have an avocado, I mean bingo. You're gonna be adding more salsa just like me. It is citrusy and spicy and rustic because of the salsita and the soft avocado. It's just packed with flavor. Good morning to you. The city of Motul in the north was one of the leading Heineken producers in Yucatan and the world. But now it's the center of something much tastier, Huevos Motuleños. This is the birthplace of a beloved Yucatecan dish invented in the 1920s that Doña Evelia has made popular once again.
Mucho gusto.
Encantada.
Yo llevo muchos años comiendo huevos motuleños en muchos lugares y en Yucatán, pero nunca había comido huevos motuleños en Motul. Y usted es la más famosa.
Bueno,
So famous, she had to take over the restaurant next door for a second kitchen. One for the salsa and one for the eggs. Doña Evelia has been selling huevos motuleños for 22 years, and she sells hundreds of plates a day.
Aquí
Ajá.
se prepara la salsa.
Ok.
Adelante.
A ver.
Huevos motuleños are crispy tortillas spread with a layer of refried beans, fried eggs, and topped with salsa made with ham, peas, and salt. Mucha sal.
Entonces, de una cocina a otra, aquí se
De una
acaba.
cocina a otra. Aquí se fríen los huevos. Échale nada más encimita.
Para que se
Ándale.
moje la...
Viene el corazón y el alma del huevo.
Add a tostada, fried plantains, and salsa on top. And you have huevos motuleños. But Doña Evelia's signature move is what separates her from the competition.
También habanero.
También habanero.
Entero.
Entero.
Topping it off is one sweet, juicy, mouth-scorching habanero.
Uy, ya vi el huevo. Está buenísimo. Sí le puedo cortar cuanto quiera del chile. Me fascina la combinación de los ingredientes en los motuleños porque los chícharos le dan dulzura.
Para mí son deliciosos. Y siempre había sido mi carta de presentación en tu casa. Cuando tenía yo visitas, siempre les daba yo huevos motuleños.
Doña Evelia got her start in the 80s, when the economy was sluggish and the family was going through hard times. Her son had an idea.
Que acá en Motul llegó un tiempo en donde no se comían huevos motuleños.
Se acabó la tradición.
Se acabó la tradición y nosotros empezamos de nuevo la tradición acá en Motul.
Y desde el primer día, como hasta el día de hoy, han sido un éxito.
She was a hit, but her international fame came after a mysterious woman asked her for her recipe and took her picture. A couple years later, the woman came back with this.
Mira, esta
¡Ay! ¡Ahí está usted!
She and her recipe were featured in Lonely Planet's 100 Best Recipes of Mexico.
Y aquí está su receta.
ahí está la receta de huevos motuleños.
¡Wow! Y desde entonces más gente ha venido.
Más gente ha venido de toda Europa, de Asia, de Centroamérica, de Sudamérica. Mi publicidad ha sido de boca en boca.
But it's not all luck. She famously works 7 days a week with no exception. Until recently. Last year, she went to Greece on her first ever international vacation. I think she's earned it.
Siempre tenía yo la ilusión de conocer Santorini. Cuando me regresé a trabajar otra
¡De salud! Está tan delicioso todo. Ah, salud.
Salud.
Now that I tried the classic huevos motuleños in its birthplace of Motul, I'm going to show you how to make them with all of the secrets that I learned from Doña Evelia. I'm going to start heating my pan over medium heat. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of vegetable oil. I'm going to chop an entire onion. Now I'm gonna add 2 pounds of ripe Roma tomatoes that I chopped, and I am keeping everything because we want the flavor from every part of the tomatoes. I'm gonna add a generous teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna stir again. And then I'm gonna cover over medium to medium-low heat for 15 minutes. As this happens, we're gonna cook some plantains. Now, we love plantains in Mexico. We call them plátano macho, and you can't eat them raw. You have to cook them. This is a ripe plantain. This is so sweet and soft, and this is how we love it. When all of the sugars have really developed. And this is perfect.
So it is a different kind of a yellow than the banana. The skin from the plantain is much thicker than that of the banana. So typically you have to cut through it to remove it. Look at the beauty. I have my pan that is preheating over here. I'm gonna add some oil. Meanwhile, my sauce is looking really beautiful because the tomatoes are starting to break into the onion and you can see the juices coming out. But we want them completely broken apart. And I'm covering them so the juices don't evaporate because we want a very saucy sauce. And our oil is heating over medium heat. And I like to cook my plantains in a diagonal. Yeah. And then we want to cook the plantains until they brown. Oh, this is looking beautiful. This is so perfect. I gotta be fast. So the plantains are such a delight because they're kind of caramelized. Yum. So here's my plantains. And now I'm going to cut some ham. And this was one of the surprising things that I found in Doña Evelia's eggs. She cooks her ham in the sauce and her ham pieces are very thick. Yeah. The other Huevos Motuleños that I had tried just added the ham at the end. And I think it really makes a difference because then the sauce has that ham flavor in it. And the other thing that I'm adding is 3/4 cups of fresh peas. Don't use canned because they're sometimes too sweet. See how colorful this is already? Okay, cover again, and I'm gonna let these cook for another 3 to 4 minutes while Mila is sleeping and snoring away. Okay, so I'm gonna make my corn tortillas turn into tostadas. You can make your corn tortillas turn into tostadas by frying them in oil or by simply toasting them on a hot surface, like that comal that I have already preheated. I'm gonna cook my eggs right here. So I'm preheating this pan over medium heat, and I'm gonna add a little bit of oil. And then the final touch for my motuleños is adding the habanero chiles in there, and I want to add an orange, green, and a red. Notice that I didn't cut the habaneros, I added them whole. When I get the sauce on my eggs, I can break the habanero and release that heat. And I'm gonna cover and continue cooking the sauce for a few more minutes. I want to flip my tortillas that are turning into tostadas. So all I have to do really is cook the eggs and assemble. A little salt and pepper. And then I'm gonna cover my pan so that they cook on top as well. So the way they serve them there in Motul is you get your tostada, you add a layer of refried beans, and then add your eggs, and then we do lots of sauce. Lots of sauce. Do habanero on top. And then some versions that I've tried add queso fresco, and I really like it with queso fresco, so here goes a little bit. And then plantains. Yum. So I'm just gonna eat it into a bite. See the beans, the egg, the sauce that has the peas and the ham, and then a little bit of a plantain. It's gonna be a ridiculous bite. I can't help it. This is the best bite ever. So much so that I'm gonna repeat it. More habanero. When you love something, eat it with your hands. It's gonna taste even better.